Hi, good morning dear students. I hope you are doing well. Dear students, now we are going to start Unit 3, that is writing skills. In writing skills, we are going to talk about writing resume and cover letter as per your syllabus in this particular semester. So before I talk about resume writing or cover writing or cover letter or other parts of business communication or you can say business correspondence, let me first tell you about communication. I don't think we have discussed definition of communication as of now, because in your syllabus so far we have discussed English grammar and vocabulary. Now let us talk about communication. Before I tell you about writing skills and writing written communication, dear friends, to understand, to be understood. If I tell you the simplest definition of communication, to be understood is called communication. Communication, as we know, you might have done it since you are students of business administration, so you know very well communication. I don't think I need to. But the simplest way to understand communication, according to me, is to be understood. We understand things and we are understood by others. That is what communication is. As you know, communication is a two-way process. It means there is a sender, there is a receiver. There are two parties involved. And the types of communication, if we talk about, there are normally three types of communication when we talk about bodies involved, parties involved in communication. First type is called intrapersonal communication. The second one is interpersonal communication, and the third one is extrapersonal communication. Intrapersonal communication, when the sender and the receiver is the same person. It means when I talk to myself, when I plan something, while writing your examination for 3 hours, you're sitting there, you are reading the question paper, you are asking yourself the questions, you're asking questions, you are replying them, you are denying, you are agreeing. That wrestling for 2-3 hours is called intrapersonal communication. When you talk to yourself, intrapersonal communication, when there are not two different bodies but the same body, you can say the sender and the receiver, we call it intrapersonal communication. Interpersonal communication, like this time it is happening, if I'm the speaker, I'm the sender, I am conveying some message to you and you are receiving it. Interpersonal communication, when there are two different bodies, physically two different bodies, I mean the sender and the receiver. The sender can be the speaker or the writer, and the receiver can be the reader or any audience or any person who is listening or watching that particular conversation or message. Extrapersonal communication, on the other hand, happens with animal beings, not with human beings. You might have pets at home and you communicate with your pets. They understand you, you understand them. Though they do not understand oral language that you speak, but you do communicate and you have a very good bonding with your pets or animals. Extrapersonal communication. Why I'm introducing here communication in this particular lecture? Because I want you to be very careful about written communication. So if we talk about types of communication, what message is mobilized, or you can say channelized, it has again two types, verbal and non-verbal. When we talk about verbal communication is again of two types, oral communication and written communication. Oral communication, we have already talked about grammar. As English is the medium in corporate world, that is why we emphasize or we focus much on English language and English grammar or English vocabulary. Otherwise, your regional languages, regional tongues, or you can say your mother tongue, your Hindi or Punjabi, you already understand, you know. But officially, when we talk about a language, it is English. We have discussed English grammar and vocabulary. Now, when we talk about oral communication, we have discussed language, we have discussed grammar or vocabulary. Yes, written communication, that I am going to talk about. This is the third unit, written communication, and written and oral communication is part of verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is of three types. Non-verbal, it means when we are not saying anything. We are not saying anything and you are not reading anything, but you understand things. Non-verbal, it means signals. Non-verbal is of three types, kinesics, proxemics and haptics. Kinesics is your gestures and posture. Gesture, your facial expressions, hand motions. I'm angry. This time, I look angry, I look happy, I look excited, I look confident, I look shy. All these expressions you can see, you can read my face and you can understand it easily. That is called gestures. Postures, on the other hand, posture means the way you stand or you sit. That is called posture. Every posture has a different meaning. Like if I sit in this way or this way, these postures have different signals. In communication, we call them postures or kinesics. Then proxemics is proximity, or you can say zone distance. You need to maintain distance when you are performing or you are in any circle of communication. So there should be proper distance. If you talk about a celebrity's zone distance is bigger, the circle is bigger as compared to other general people, and that is why we call them celebrity. Nobody can just go and meet those people. If you talk about any leader like your prime minister or chief minister, you cannot easily go and meet that person. Zone distance is very important when we talk about non-verbal communication. Haptics is the third part. Haptics, when you touch somebody. Again, zone distance, proxemics and haptics are quite close to each other. So this is what communication is as general if I talk about. Now let us talk about written communication or writing skills. That is the third unit in your syllabus this time. So when we talk about either oral or written communication, we have to be very careful when we are sender. As we said, either we are sender or receivers. When we are receivers, of course we have some responsibilities, that we need to listen to the message properly, or we need to read it again and again until we understand it. But the first responsibility becomes of the speaker, or you can say the sender. The sender should convey the message in such a way that at once the receiver can understand it or get it. So while talking about communication barriers, after talking about communication, its barriers like physical barriers, psychological barriers, or semantic barriers. Physical barriers like there is noise, you're not comfortable in sitting, it's very hot, it's very cold here when you're sitting, so you cannot pay attention, so this is called physical barrier. Psychological barrier, you do not agree with me because I belong to a different party or different country. So no matter how good my message is or how perfect my examples are, you still do not agree with me just because of psychological barrier, because I do not belong to your community, or maybe you do not like me as a teacher. So that is called psychological barrier. And third is called semantic or language barriers. My message is fine, you have nothing to do with my religion or my community, but my language is a barrier. It means when I speak English language or Hindi language, you do not understand just because of the word I use or my grammar or mispronunciation of any word. So basic three types. After understanding these barriers, now we go to effective communication, how we can reduce these barriers and how we can be effective communicator. So to be an effective communicator, there are 7 C's of effective communication, whether we talk about written communication or oral communication. Oral communication we have discussed, you can relate it, but today I'm going to talk about writing skills or written communication. In written communication, my dear friends, as you know, it is first writers or authors' responsibility to write the message properly. So what we write, first of all, let us discuss what we write in official communication, or you can say professional communication. We write business letters, we write applications, we write resume or cover letters, we write proposals, or we write reports or memorandum, or any you can say any letter or any communication that we write. We have to be very effective, we have to be very careful while writing something. To understand its importance, we need to understand importance of written communication. My dear friends, in Indian Constitution, especially I'm talking about India, here a written document is more important. Written evidence, everything is there in writing. You understand its importance and value. You just think of your college. When you go to your college and you are asked to submit an application if you want leave, or if you want any approval, you want to conduct any activity, you have to go to your vice chancellor, you need to write an application, you need to write a letter, you need to write an email. So written communication, it's important, it is an evidence. Even you go to the court, written evidence is more valuable. And that is why whenever we write anything, we go to an expert. To the court, if you go, there are experts, they write, either they are lawyers or they are professionals, they know how to write the language. Because whatever you write, that might have different meanings, and you need to write your document in such a way that does not give extra meaning. So you have to be very careful. So let us talk about these effective, I know these words start with C, and we call them 7 C's of effective communication. I hope you're ready. So the first C is clear. The message that you write or you speak, you can speak or you can write, as we are talking about writing today. So the message that you write, the letter that you write, or any information that you write, that you try to document, it has to be clear. So the first C is clear or clarity. There should be clarity in your thought, there should be clarity in your writing. It includes your handwriting also. Second is concise. The message that you convey should be concise. It should be concise. It means you are not going to narrate stories there. You are not supposed to write stories, because this generation, people are, or you can say life is very fast. Nobody has time to listen to your story or to read your long stories, long explanations. So we have to be concise, or you can say brief at the same time. So clarity, the first point, and the second C is conciseness, being concise or being brief. Third is correctness. I think the third one is concrete, concise and concrete. Concrete, it means the information you are writing should be concrete, firm enough. It should be with full determination or factual based, not impulse based. It has to be fact based. Whatever you're writing is fact based. End of the day, when somebody claims, you should be able to prove what you have written. If you are unable to prove it, you will definitely lose that communication, your reputation, or you might be in a big trouble in future. So your message should be concrete, concise but concrete. And then correctness. It should be correct in terms of grammar or vocabulary word that you use, or correct again in terms of information. So correct and concrete, almost similar in some way. Or if you talk about what is the difference between correct and concrete, so concrete in terms of facts that you are presenting, and correct in terms of fact and your language too, also your language. And then the next one is then coherent. Coherent means it should be related to the topic. It should be to the point. Again, not making so many false stories, to the point. Coherent means there should be proper combination, or you can say related to the that topic you are writing. And then completeness, the message should also be complete. So if you say coherent it is, so it should be complete. No, sometimes your message is incomplete. It is correct, it is concrete enough, but it is not complete. It includes completeness, also include your reply, your responses. Supposing somebody sent you a mail and you could not reply it in such a way, so it can again be falling, or you can say of communication. So as a communicator, if you do not reply your emails, or your responsibility is to reply, so it is incomplete communication. So there should be completeness also. And at last, I think courteousness or courtesy. We need to be courteous, or we need to be polite, we need to be professional, we need to be assertive when we communicate, when we write any document. You are correct in your information, you are clear enough, you are concrete enough, but your language is very blunt. It happens sometimes when we present facts, so people might hurt, but as a business professional, as you are going to be business professionals, so you need to be courteous at the same time, because when you talk about your customers or your clients, you should always please them. You should write the language that please or that pleases your customers or your clients or the person you are talk to, so courteous, or you can say polite language, has also need to be used at the same time. It is difficult, but it is easy at the same time. So now let me talk about the syllabus or unit 3. Unit 3, you need to understand resume writing and cover letter. So other parts are not there in your syllabus, so we'll just discuss covering letter and resume writing. I hope this is sufficient for today. If you have any question regarding communication or 7 C's of effective communication, do communicate, drop your messages or comments. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.